I'm Joe from As the Joe Flies.
And I'm Leslie from Trips with Tykes.
And welcome back to Disney Deciphered. So we are back to our Genie Plus Park by Park recommendations. And today we are at our favorite park, EPCOT, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Even though I know what it is, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Before we get to EPCOT, Leslie, we have a couple of new patrons to thank. And so who are we thanking today?
Yes, today we are thanking new Patreon supporters, Sarah D. and Gemma. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you want to support as well and get bonus content, you can go to patreon.com/Disney Deciphered.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so before we get to the Genie Plus of it all, we do want to take a quick detour, as we've been doing in our other episodes, and just talk about the individual Lightning Lane attraction that is offered at EPCOT. As a reminder, the individual Lightning Lane, completely separate from Genie Plus, separate purchase. You still go through a Lightning Lane line, but you have to buy it separately. What is that attraction, Leslie, and what are your feelings about whether it should be purchased or not?
Yes, that is the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And I mean, as of right now, I'm still ponying up the big bucks for that paid Lightning Lane. I think, all things fade over time, and people will find that less and less tempting. But that said, it's a great attraction. And I think if you want to ride it twice, that's the way to do it. Right now, of course, you still have the virtual queue. I don't think that will last forever. So the paid Lightning Lane will be the way to go for that. So yeah, it's worth the money for me now while it's new and novel. But talk to me in 2 years whether I'm paying for it every time. What about you, Joe?
Yes. So my kids like to go on it twice. As long as the virtual queue is operating, I do think it is worth the money. It's $15 today on a random Thursday in August. And so not too bad, not Rise of the Resistance, $25 bad at Hollywood Studios. I also think that it is worth the money to not, stress out about the virtual queue and worry about it at 7 a.m. Like that is, I think, something that factors in to the value for me. I said that it's $15 today. It also, you can purchase an individual Lightning Lane for it right now. We're recording at 1:40 p.m. Eastern. You can purchase a Lightning Lane for 40 minutes from now. So it's not like Rise of Resistance or Flight of Passage where the individual Lightning Lane sells out like before you can even get into the park, or, on some extreme days, 15 to 20 minutes. So, just for the ease of stress, I think it's worth it as well. I feel like when this finally moves off virtual queue, I do actually really like going through the queue. So at that point, maybe the calculus changes, especially if you get there early or something like that. But as of right now, we're still purchasing that individual Lightning Lane, partially, again, because my kids are going to want to go on twice when we're at EPCOT. I don't want to go on twice, but they do.
Yeah, my kid doesn't want to go on once, so it's tricky. But you're right. I mean, you getting to select your time with that is key right now, because the virtual queue is all over the map. You've got to commit at 2 times of the day, and then you don't know when you're coming back. So in terms of planning your day, meals, park hopping, things like that, you get a lot more flexibility when you pay for it.
Yeah, it's a good attraction, by the way, to pay for it and pay for the people who don't want to go on. That's another way to get your kids on multiple times. Now, let's get to Genie Plus. EPCOT is a bit of a weird park. It's kind of like Animal Kingdom in the sense that there are not that many attractions. Well, there are more attractions in EPCOT, but they don't really factor in Genie Plus as much. Disney has priced it accordingly. EPCOT is the second cheapest. Genie Plus, you can buy nowadays. You can buy either for all the parks, which is the most expensive, or you can just buy for one park: Animal Kingdom, EPCOT, Hollywood Studios, or Magic Kingdom. And I just said it in the order of cheapest to most expensive. So EPCOT today, again, for example, is $19. Animal Kingdom's a little bit cheaper, $17, but then the expensive ones, Magic Kingdom and the multiple park one, are $27. So Disney definitely has recognized that EPCOT it's not as valuable Genie Plus wise, and I think we're going to get into why that is. And because of all this, it really, when I was putting together the tier list, Leslie, makes things kind of bizarre. So let's get into it. What do you think are the tier 1 attractions at EPCOT? What are the ones that go the fastest?
Sure. So Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Test Track are always the first two to go. And Remy's sometimes like crazy fast. Like if it's not your first pick, it could be gone on busier times of day. So that's tier one. Why don't you give us tier two?
Yes, like we said, again, like we're recording at around 2 p.m. Eastern. Remy's not available. And let me look quickly at my phone. This is bad video. Test Track also not available for Genie Plus as of right now. So, by 2 p.m. already gone. I give Remy's the slight edge over Test Track for the tier one attractions, just because Test Track has, if it's an option for you, a single rider line, which still can be pretty long, but it's like, if Remy's, if you don't get it, like you're waiting a long time no matter what. For Test Track, at least there's an option, especially at night, that, might be able to help you out. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I agree. Anytime there's a single rider line that gives you an out, not everybody, but a big chunk of people. I mean, as long as your kid is willing to separate from you and is at least 7 years old, then you have another option.
Now, the next tier two, and this is where Epcot gets weird. I really feel like, honestly, tier two is tier 2 and 3 to me in a lot of senses. Frozen Ever After, you could consider it almost like a tier 1B. That is the only attraction we have in tier 2, because really, I don't know, like when I really think about it, we came up with 3 tiers because, I don't know, it seemed right, or that was the structure that we had come up with or whatever. But besides Remy's, Test Track, and Frozen Ever After, I feel like those are the 3 attractions that you really need Genie Plus for. And this is why it's cheaper, because if you don't get all 3 of those attractions, it's like not wasted, but those are the ones that really make a big difference for Genie Plus. So that's why we have Frozen Ever After at tier 2.
Agreed. So let's talk about what's in our tier 3 then. That leaves one attraction in tier 3, which is another one that does sell out and get in demand, but just not until a little bit later into the day, and that's Soarin'. So then, of course, we have everything else, which doesn't get a tier. So why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, I don't even know if Soarin' belongs in tier 3. As of right now, it's returning like 20 minutes from now.
Well, we're recording at a low crowd time. I mean, it's still not. Talk to me Thanksgiving week, Joe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like on busier times, you are going to want to use Soarin', so that should be your tier 3. But I think we need to talk about this a little bit more. Like, no park. I mean, I guess Animal Kingdom is kind of like this, but really not, because I don't think the attractions are as, I don't know, big or spectacular in a way. But when you go to Epcot and you have Genie Plus, and we'll get into this in the strategy later, it's like if you don't get at least 2 out of the 3 from Remy's, Test Track, Frozen Ever After, it feels really bad. Like you just haven't gotten your money's worth.
I totally agree. I mean, that's really what you're aiming for. That's what you're paying the big bucks for. Because I mean, if you're talking about it being $19 for just Epcot, and you want to get 3 headliner attractions, and then you feel like, okay, I'm paying $6 and change each for these headliner attractions. But if you only get 2, then $10 each. These are not paid Lightning Lane level, worth it, I think. So that's sort of the math in my brain.
Yeah, so that's the bad news. Let's get to the good news a little bit. Like, I think for the everything else, your Spaceship Earth, your Mission Space, don't ride that, your Seas with Nemo and Friends, even Journey into Imagination with Figment. I think if you do, I guess 2 things. On the really busy days, Genie Plus is going to help you there, and you might have wait times or return times that are a little bit further from when you're actually booking. But on a day like today, like all those attractions, they're returning like half an hour from now. And so the nice thing is Genie Plus is going to help you skip even like a 20-25 minute wait on all those attractions. So in that sense, maybe you'll think it's worth it, to have it. But like, to me, if I get Genie Plus and I only get those everything else attractions, it doesn't really feel worth the money to me. I need to get at least 2 of, like we said, the marquee attractions to really make it feel worth it. And that's where, let's get to whether Genie Plus is worth it at Epcot, I guess the other thing we need to add in is there's so much to do at Epcot that is not attraction related. It's not ride related. And then there are even attractions like Three Caballeros Grand Fiesta Tour, which doesn't have Genie Plus at all. So what are your feelings about, when you decide whether, yes, I know you buy Genie Plus all the time because you're not at Disney World that much, but if you were a regular at Disney World, or even not, Leslie at tripswithtykes.com, you got to do it for work, etc. What calculations would you make in terms of whether you would buy or not buy Genie Plus at Epcot?
Yeah, I mean, if I was just spending the day at Epcot, if I didn't have a park hopper, or I just, for whatever reason, was only going to one park, then you can totally get by without it the vast majority of the time. I mean, I think let's just bracket things like Thanksgiving week or Christmas and New Year's. I mean, those sort of peak times when, you've got to just think about the crowd levels. But regular crowd level times, you can absolutely do it, especially if you're willing to get there at rope drop, because you really can get one in, something like that, get your money's worth. And then, okay, yeah, maybe you're waiting in 2 long lines for the day. Or, if you've gotten a virtual queue for Cosmic Rewind, then that's one line that you're kind of getting to partially skip. So you can craft an overall strategy where you're not going to be just in a lot of lines. I mean, you will have to probably take it on the chin for 1 or 2 attractions, but you're not going to be taking it on the chin all day. So if you're fine with that, then I think you can absolutely have a great day at Epcot. And like you say, there is so much else to do in Epcot. And as much of a ride junkie as I am, and I'm always looking to ride rides, I don't in Epcot. Like, I'm going for the food festivals. I'm going to walk around the country pavilions and World Showcase and, watch a movie at O Canada or something like that. So do take time to do that, and you can fit that in around when you're sort of willing to commit to that 45-minute line at some point in the day.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think if you are a family that you do not want to buy Genie Plus on every single day, I definitely, like we said with Animal Kingdom as well, I would pick Epcot as one of the days to not purchase it. I think even if you have a park hopper and you purchase it on an Epcot day, a lot of times you're just using it for park hopping for later. So I feel like you don't need to prioritize. Again, this is why Disney has it cheaper. Like, you don't need to prioritize buying Genie Plus for Epcot. But if you do buy it, I think there are some strategies that you can use to make things feel worth it. I'll start with my favorite strategy, and that is actually getting a later start on the day. And not we're just not a rope dropping family. Like, we've definitely figured that out, at least at this point in our lives. Because of that, what I would typically do is I would buy Genie Plus at 7 a.m. I would grab Remy's at 11 a.m. or whenever it's 2 hours past. I would hopefully grab Test Track for, by that time, it'll probably be the evening. And then, I'll get Frozen Ever After if I can later. If I can get all 3, on a medium day, I can probably, I'm guessing, we can't see it right now, but I'm guessing Frozen Ever After finally sold out at 1 p.m. when people had their third Lightning Lane availability, if they hadn't used it immediately. But if it's something like that, then, I'll be pretty happy. Then I'll go there in the evening. And then, like we said, all the other attractions, whenever we end up getting into the park, whether it's in late morning or early afternoon or whatever, we're going to be able to use Genie Plus to get on those attractions and save time. And so that is my favorite strategy for using Genie Plus, just because we're a late rising family. But there are strategies, probably better, more efficient strategies that you can use if you are a rope dropping family, right, Leslie?
Yeah, absolutely. And we still are a rope dropping family most of the time, not always anymore with the teenager. So if you're going to rope drop, then, and you're going to get Genie Plus, I mean, there's a really pretty easy strategy, and that is getting one of the tier ones with your Genie Plus at 7 a.m. and rope dropping the other one, and then grabbing that Frozen Genie Plus as your second selection. So, I mean, that's really easy, and sometimes maybe you don't even necessarily need to do that. I mean, it just sort of depends on how you're touring the park, whether you're starting from International Gateway or whether you're starting from the main entrance to Epcot. You might be able to back to back to back. If you're really fast through International Gateway, hitting Remy's and then moving on to Frozen, and the line won't be too bad at that point. So that's another possibility. And then having Test Track in the bag with Genie Plus, and then you're set for the day. Then it's shooting fish in a barrel, and you're starting to make Genie Plus reservations for maybe a second park.
Yeah, and if you get in early, you can, like, even if you get onto, I want to say that we did Test Track at, like, there was one time we did it, and we just did it in the 10 o'clock hour. So we were done with Test Track before people who had not used the Genie Plus Lightning Lane reservation were able to book again at 11, because the park opens at 9 in 2 hours. See our Genie Plus 101 episode if you're not clear on all these rules. Even that little head start was enough to put us ahead of the 2-hour curve so that we were able to get Remy's and Frozen for the evening, at some point during the day. So if you're in early, even if you're not rope dropping, if you can get one of those tier 1 attractions, Genie Plus used in the morning, then that will set you up to be able to get the other two. And that's probably, outside of rope dropping, the best way to ensure that you can get all 3 of them. Like I said, if you're rope dropping, it's going to be much more efficient, and you should be able to get to use all your Genie Plus on all the marquee attractions. Now, a couple of other things to just kind of note, and especially this will help if you don't have Genie Plus, like some of the attractions, Spaceship Earth, Living with the Land, Imagination, Seas, after like 4, 5, 6 p.m., like by the evening, those are all walk-ons. So if you don't have Genie Plus, you don't need to worry about it. And in fact, if you do have Genie Plus, either use Genie Plus when the line is like 20, 25 minutes in the early afternoon, or just start stacking for another park if you're going somewhere else. Because like by 4 o'clock or 3 or 4 o'clock, for a lot of them, you'll see the wait times drop. And Spaceship Earth is the easiest. You can see the line. And if it's not very far past the escalator or what moving walkway that's moving up towards the entrance, you're going to be walking on in 5-10 minutes. So that's pretty good. So those are our Genie Plus strategies at Epcot. I think it does bear repeating one more time. At Epcot, take your time to eat, take your time to explore World Showcase, take your time to, I guess we can no longer learn in X Future World, huh? There's no you can't remember. Just a little aside here, Leslie. Remember when you got off Spaceship Earth and used to play and learn in the, thing sponsored by whoever it was at the time, and then, Test Track, there's still some stuff. It's too bad that stuff isn't there anymore.
Well, there's still some stuff. I mean, when you get off Imagination, there's some stuff there. I mean, they've got their character meet and greets, but there's some stuff that you can kind of explore, children's museum level stuff. But
yes, it's not the same. It's
I know it's not
great children's museum level, but World Showcase is still great. There's a lot of food to eat, and then of course, if you're there for a festival, there might be music, entertainment. There's a lot of live entertainment. Actually, last time we were back in Epcot, I was pretty pleased with the amount of live entertainment that's come back. So take your time, enjoy all that stuff. Again, that's a reason why, you can get away without Genie Plus, and just enjoy Epcot, and then just do attractions, as you feel like, especially if you buy the Guardians Lightning Lane, and then maybe wait in 1 or 2 lines. I think it'll feel like a pretty good day at Epcot.
Totally agree. And just as an aside, Joe, I have to add right here and now, I saw that last week Joey Fatone and Lance Bass had a concert at like Eat to the Beat or something. One of the
Genie
festivals.
Plus cannot. Yes, Genie Plus could not have paid for that. Okay,
Don't miss members of NSYNC when they're at Epcot.
I can't. I think one of them was announced to play, but then the other one just showed up. I mean, that is, you talk about Disney magic, Leslie, for Gen Xers like us.
I know. For middle-aged moms everywhere. Thanks. Appreciate it.
A deeper cut, but we were driving and there was a billboard that said Westlife's coming to town. And my wife said, we have to go. And I was like, they only have 2 songs. And she's like, but they're going to sing those 2 songs. And I was like, oh my gosh. So aging ourselves. For
sure. All right, Joe, why don't we close this out with our traditional Disney do or don't? What do you have?
Yes, please get us back on track. All right. So for our Disney do or don't for EPCOT Genie Plus. This is kind of niche, and it's only going to apply to people who are staying at deluxe resorts or who are considering staying at deluxe resorts. But my Disney don't count on extended evening hours for super short wait times at Epcot. It's just not the same as it is at Magic Kingdom. If you want to stay later in Epcot and just enjoy, although you're not going to get kicked out of the park, by the way. This is a Disney do if you want to just walk around and eat or just enjoy the ambiance, do stay at Epcot during extended evening hours because they don't kick you out. Like they won't let you ride anything, but you don't have to go anywhere. But don't count on extended evening hours if you do have the right or the privilege to ride because you're staying at a deluxe resort. Don't count on that for short wait times because there's only really what's everyone want to do during that extended evening hours. They want to do Remy's, Frozen Ever After, Test Track, and of course Guardians with the extra lightning virtual queue, or whatever. But everyone's doing those 3 attractions, so everyone who's eligible for extended evening hours is waiting in lines for those attractions. They pushed 20 is a good wait for those attractions, but you could go 30, 40, 50. I mean, my wife and kids even waited 25, 30 for Soarin' during extended evening hours. So the one exception is single rider on Test Track. Great during extended evening hours every time I've tried it. But other than that, you're not going to get super short lines. So if Epcot extended evening hours is a major factor for whether you're considering to book a deluxe resort or just stick with a moderate, I would say don't count on Epcot specifically extended evening hours because it's just not the short waits that you would expect. But if you're nerds like Leslie and me and you just enjoy hanging out around Epcot, hoping to have a Joey Fatone and Lance Bass sighting, I bet you Westlife has played Disney before, by the way, but that's neither here nor there, then go ahead and enjoy the Epcot extended evening hours, but don't count on it for short wait times.
Great tip, Joe.
All right, well, that does it for our Epcot Genie Plus episode. As a reminder, we are on YouTube now. Please check us out on youtube.com/@DisneyDeciphered. We'd really like to up our subscribers and our views there. So if you've enjoyed this podcast in the past, please head over there and subscribe, even if you don't listen to podcasts on YouTube because you're old like Leslie and me. Sorry if I insulted you. But Leslie, where else can we find your work on the internet?
I am tripswithtykes.com and at tripswithtykes everywhere on social media. What about you, Joe?
You can find me at AsJoeFlies all over social media. And of course, if you're looking to book a trip, I'd happy to help you as your travel planner. Joseph Chung at travelmation.net for that. For this podcast, find us all over wherever you can find podcasts, RIP Stitcher. I hear that has gone the way of the dodo bird. But all the places that still exist, you can find us there. Email us anytime, DisneyDeciphered@gmail.com. Tweet at us at WWDeciphered on Twitter. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, Disney Deciphered. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode and our Gen X musings. Other than that, Leslie, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. And I will see you still trying to figure out what the new lands in Epcot are called because I still don't know.
Thanks, Joe.